If you are curious, which I am by nature, and that means that's the essence of a researcher, to be curious. If you are curious, you will do a good job, no matter your background.
I grew up in the middle of Ireland, so I was nowhere near the sea. Even though Ireland is an island, you know, we didn't live close to the sea, but I was always kind of fascinated by it.
Yo realmente, cuando estaba en el instituto, en clases de biología, pues me impresionó mucho el origen de la vida. Me gustó tanto aquello que me enamoré de la bioquímica.
Well, I suppose I've always been interested in research, always been fascinated about doing research, about finding things that we don't know or that we suspect may be, the way they are.
Always had a huge passion for the sea and for animals that live in the sea, going with my mask and catching them and releasing them most of the time and harassing other kids, telling them that they have to put the fish back into the sea, it's too small, you can't kill it, and all that type of things.
I love animals and how things work. I mean, I was very much attracted to biology and how the living things work. This is something that it happens to you, and some other people like art. I like biology and animals, and that was the start of the thing.
Seatraces, we have to hear the name, trace. So it's all about traceability. In Europe, people actually want to know what they're eating. So we have to give them that answer.
Ciao, sono Paola, ho 37 anni.
Vivo in Cangas, al lado del mar.
6 miles from the sea, more or less.
10 kilómetros del mar, de la playa.
About 5 miles from the sea.
Et je vis à 5 minutes de la plage.
40-50 kilómetros del mar.
Vivo a 100 kilómetros del mar, más o menos.
Y también vivo al lado de la playa.
Qu'est-ce que je regarde quand j'achète?
Guardo tutto quanto, guardo la marca, guardo gli ingredienti.
Che è importante un prodotto di prossimità.
I more or less buy the same stuff all the time.
A mí que sean productos locales me es indiferente. Me fijo más bien en el tipo de pescado que hay del día.
Il prezzo, un po' tutto, se c'è un'offerta.
Non tout le temps, mais ça m'arrive de regarder ce que l'étiquette.
Why traceability? Why labeling? Well, in fact, whenever we buy something, you are alerted to the labels. What's in there? Is there something truthful? Is it right? So that was the drive for this project and for my commitment to the project.
Traceability.
Trazabilidad.
I don't know, I guess stuff that's easy to find?
Pues no lo sé.
Credo che sia conoscere la storia, il viaggio che ha fatto questo prodotto.
Desde donde se empieza un producto de alimentación hasta el plato, hasta el final.
I mean, we're all consumers, and I think, like I was saying before, like traceability is something that I think people have a real attachment with. I think about wine, and I think about, if you know how a wine is, how a grape is grown and the temperature it's grown, you feel really affiliated to it, and you really want to try it out.
Can we start? Good morning, everybody. My name is Rogerio Mendes. For those who do not know me, I will welcome you to this meeting. I don't know if you are aware, but this is the second project that we are having on this field. We had formerly, the first project was labeled fish. It was more of not so widespread as this project. It was more focused on the laboratorial questions.
Be more or less organized, well organized, we can achieve our goal of discussing all the... In Seatraces we have tried to involve as much as possible stakeholders and end users. Stakeholders are producers and industry in general. There are here new people, and maybe it's a good idea to go in a
Because there are not just scientists, you have literally every stakeholder in Seatraces has a bit of an involvement, and so you can really have clearly the feeling that you're not just doing this to publish another scientific article. You are definitely doing this in the hope that our seafood supply chain is going to get better.
Let me just tell you first that the Seatraces project is an important project, mainly because it touches an issue that is extremely important, and it has been identified by the European Food Safety Authority as an emergent one, and this is the issue of food fraud.
Ya les había adelantado que íbamos a hablar del fraude del pescado.
Panga en élevage intensif, des poissons plutôt voraces puisqu'ils mangent 400 sacs comme celui-ci tous les jours. L'objectif est clair, qu'ils grandissent le plus vite possible pour être vendus rapidement.
Esta espécie de venda não autorizada em Portugal.
El fraude del pescado no respeta fronteras. 1 de cada 5 pescados está mal etiquetado. Así lo revela un informe de la Organización de Conservación Marina Oceana, que ha revisado más de 200 estudios de 55 países de todo el planeta.
Because it's fraud, it means that somewhere things are getting mixed up on the food chain, and presumably people are, illegally fishing, or, like there's a reason there's quotas for fish, and, because the scientists were very careful of, trying to work out how many fish there are in the sea, and how many you can take so that they can bounce back the following year. And if people don't abide by the rules, eventually, the fish populations will crash. So
anything that has to do with illegal fisheries, mislabeling, and many other unlawful actions is considered to be seafood fraud. This has extremely negative implications for fisheries themselves. It basically is a risk for their viability, but also poses significant negative impacts to the general public, especially public health, because if something is not what is supposed to be, then obviously we have the risk of, getting diseases.
And it's really important as well for smaller fisheries, because they're artisanal fisheries around the place. There's only a few boats, and the fish is really fresh, and it's important for them to get a good price, and you can only do that by sustainable fishing practices and a kind of a traceable system to prove that their fishery is sustainable, and people will be willing to pay money for that.
Básicamente, pues hay diferentes estudios que cifran en un volumen importante de fraude en cuanto a una identificación incorrecta de la especie. Básicamente se trata de especies de menor calidad o menos apreciadas por los consumidores que se hacen pasar por otras de mayor calidad.
There is a general trend in every city, urban setting, where people have become increasingly disconnected with how food is sourced. It's a problem because it's at the basis of it. A heavily industrialized process has led to this large supermarket chains having an increasingly high percentage of food that is heavily processed, that is packed and chopped and is frozen and is plastified, and people less and less frequently actually have the opportunity to see a whole fish unless they come from a coastal area or they come from a family that values nature and values the connection with nature.
I have to guess the fish.
Es una dorada, un sargo. O un sargueño, no sé.
Ah, è un merluzzo.
I have no idea.
Parece salmón.
O una lubina.
Je me suis trompée.
Esto es merluza.
Tagliato così non l'avrei mai detto.
No es salmón.
You need a good labeling to get to make your own choice, yes?
It says it's mass produced, so it's not from the ocean. No. Well, that's actually, this one is too.
Este es de 2 días antes. Este es más fresco, pero realmente yo no me hubiera fijado.
Tiene demasiada información para lo que estamos acostumbrados.
You need some methods or analytical methods to control these labelings, yes, and sometimes they are not right. So it's very important to have these robust and reliable methods, and this is why we, this is one of the tasks of this project.
Datos muy recientes hablaban que el producto de la pesca local, de la producción local de España, con mayor volumen de desembarco es el mejillón. Este es un producto que es de los pocos que hay del mar con una denominación de origen. Implica que el producto tiene un origen, que las características y calidades de ese producto dependen directamente de ese origen, y que en esas características influyen tanto factores naturales, pues calidad de aguas, etcétera, como factores humanos, la forma de producir, que es única de aquí, aunque se intenta exportar, pero está perfectamente adaptada a este territorio. Y además, algo a mayores es producción, elaboración, transformación se realiza en este origen. No se puede coger mejillón de aquí.
We think that developing methods to identify species offers information about the origin, the geographic origin of the seafood. And in particular, in Seatraces, we are going to work on the development of methods for finding the geographic origin of masses.
Todas aquellas menciones que lleven a engaño, porque al final les llevaron a engaño, un elaborado, un mares de Galicia, no tiene una certificación detrás, no está bajo una DOP. Entonces lo que intenta es aprovechar esa fama,
de calidad
esa fama del producto, porque es así, ¿no? Sin estar pasando los controles que debe pasar.
Entiendo que además hay otra parte aquí, y es el tema salubridad, que esto sí es muy importante. Sí. Es decir, que con la trazabilidad vosotros también, garantizáis también la parte salubre, sí. ya no solo la parte de calidad. El hombre empieza a cocinar en las anales de la historia para hacer que los alimentos sean más sanos y más fácilmente digeribles. Sí. Y esta es la razón primera por la que el hombre empieza a cocinar. Y por lo tanto, eso yo siempre digo, cuando hago un curso, cuando comento y tal, digo, el que esté rico es la segunda cosa más importante. El que esté rico. La primera es que sea salubre.
We will focus on 3 to 4, 5 case studies of companies that started, I would say, from a low grade of implementation of traceability and labeling. During this project, these schemes will be implemented, and in the end, we will see if it was a positive result. And this will make some case study that can be shown to others to follow the same procedure and the same ideas.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Esposado. We are going to have a quick review of safety measures regarding lifeguards, okay?
So, this extension will be the future oyster farm. So it's going to be huge, lots of units to control. That's why we are too keen on having a system to control, to trace where the oyster units are. So what you see here, are some RFID tags.
Let me start by explaining what RFID means. Imagine when you buy some clothes or a perfume or whatever. Sometimes we hear the alarm in the stores. That's because the clothes and the perfume had an RFID tag on. So we can trace the oysters from the time they enter, very little ones, seeds, oyster seeds, until they go to the final customer. And that's a traceability like no other.
Case studies are really interesting because it's kind of like, you know, industry in practice and, you know, how these companies change because the customers or the consumers are demanding that that the fish be traceable and be sustainable.
Nosotros hemos defendido siempre la sostenibilidad y en este momento igual más que nunca. Nuestras empresas además son empresas familiares que ha habido siempre un relevo generacional y bueno, existía siempre mucha preocupación de dejar a nuestros hijos en unas condiciones buenas. Y el punto de partida lógicamente es el pescado, ¿no? Que haya pescado en la mar. Hemos establecido 3 días de pesca a la semana únicamente por el tema del alto nivel de consumo de la cota. Seguramente hoy hacia el mediodía ya vendrán todos los barcos para aquí y algunos con anchoa y se venderá hacia el mediodía.
Esta es la anchoa que tiene la MSC, ¿verdad?
Sí, la anchoa certificada. Todos nuestros barcos tienen la certificación MSC.
Dentro de Seatraces también estamos trabajando en un caso de estudio muy particular que es la anchoa del Cantábrico. Es un producto tradicional basado en pesca sostenible y nuestra intención es verificar qué valor le ha podido aportar a nivel socioeconómico la aplicación de una marca como es MSC a la anchoa del Cantábrico.
Somos un centro tecnológico que nuestro mayor interés es la ciencia aplicada y aplicada a la sociedad, en este caso a los recursos pesqueros y a las cofradías de pescadores y al consumidor final. La sostenibilidad engloba todos esos aspectos, desde el trabajo digno hasta sostenibilidad biológica del stock y productos de calidad y con pescas tradicionales.
Dimos el salto al MSC con muchas dudas y muchas incertidumbres, ¿no? Vemos que ese salto ha sido positivo, pero me preocupa mucho, ¿no? El cómo llega al consumidor, ¿no? Toda esta información, porque sí que vemos en el mercado que el consumidor está como saturado, ¿no? De tantas certificaciones, tantos sellos y al final realmente no se sabe, ¿no? Qué hay detrás de todos esos sellos. Y hay un problema, yo creo, de comunicación y también de información y de educación.
El consumo responsable es una tendencia que va ganando adeptos. Poco a poco se va asentando, pero el consumo responsable necesita de información adicional que muchas veces no está en la etiqueta. El consumidor está preocupado por cómo afectan sus decisiones de consumo a su entorno, pero si no tiene esa información clara, veraz, que garantice que, bueno, pues que lo que está comprando tiene un efecto determinado en su entorno, pues no va a poder tomar esas decisiones de consumo responsable.
I like to get together and to find new solutions for a better consumer protection. Yes.
This is the perfect job. This is the perfect job. Found something new, you don't know why, and you try to find methods and ways to find a solution and find an answer. And finding an answer, and not only finding the answer, but also to telling that story to others, to making a good dissemination of the results. And to see that a lot of people around the world have the same problems, but did not found a solution or don't have yet on their laboratories. That's very interesting things. And sometimes, well, you feel proud.
Moitas veces consumimos sen entender o dano que podemos estar facendo por consumir produtos máis baratos e non defendendo que é o noso planeta, que non hai planeta B.
La gente que sale a pescar todos los días también hay que darle un valor a ese pescado. Es mejor y tiene el precio que tiene porque lo vale.
Something without technology nowadays, without ITC, is something from the past. It's good to have the traditions kept, but we have to move forward. So why not be the first to innovate? I want to innovate.
It's very important to me that I can help in some way, you know, to make the oceans more sustainable, you know, so that's a kind of a goal of mine.
We cannot save the planet from the many threats it is facing, just a bunch of scientists doing strange things in a lab. We need the involvement of everybody. We need people to care about the sea and politicians to understand that they cannot just follow this completely myopic, short-term gain approach they have been doing for such a long time. And I think that if the broad base of society realizes that we have to look after this planet, it will have a very positive ripple effect across every area of society.
Some people have chosen not to listen to us, and that is fine. We are, after all, just children. You don't have to listen to us, but you do have to listen to the united science, the scientists, and that is all we ask. Just unite behind the science.
And that also makes it exciting because you can contribute to scientific advancements, but also at the same time you can show all the different segments of societies that actually science can make a difference to everybody's life.